All right, we're doing a very unique show again here today, and I'm getting the confirmation on the phone here that we are live. So,
Lou, what are the odds there's going to be a bat on this show?
it seems pretty unlikely. Let's have you hold the mic.
I'll hold the mic, yeah. And we have sanitized folks out there in the internet. Of course, we're wearing masks. This is all perfectly legitimate.
Yeah. Normally, this is where we kind of awkwardly banter back and forth and try to start the show. However, I think what we're going to do a little bit differently here. Oh, and of course, we're coming through dark for some reason. We'll figure this out in a second. But we're live at Mall of America. This is Hotlou Happy Hour. Normally, we'd play some music and dance around and do weird stuff too. But as I adjust my mask. But we don't have music.
No music. Sorry.
Yeah. When there's no. So let's end the awkwardness and just say welcome to Hotlou Happy Hour. I am your host, Lou Abramowski, or somewhat universally known as Hotlou.
I am Mall of America enthusiast Mike Franklin.
And like I said, we're live at Mall of America. I think we might have to make some adjustments to get the video exactly right here, or I can switch the main view here. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. But you know what?
Before you do,
why don't you pause? Why don't you actually create some buffer while I fix this?
All right.
Can you fill some time?
What do you think, Dan?
I think you can fill a lot of time.
I think I can too. I am a politician after all. So the thing about we're going to get into this with Dan. Dan, your last name again is?
Dan Jasper. I'm VP of Communications here at Mall of America.
Dan Jasper, VP of Communications. We have a ton of questions for Dan, but let me start by giving sort of my impressions upon walking into the mall for the first time since, well, March, or probably even earlier than March. I parked. I got a great parking spot, and I kind of, in my head, thought that this might be, kind of an empty, kind of a ghost town. It is nothing but. I mean, there are people here, and I'm very impressed with the amount of safety precautions that have been taken. I'm sure we'll get into all of that, but I just have to give you kind of my first impressions upon walking in. I'm surprised it almost feels normal in here.
Thank you. We appreciate that. We put a lot of time and effort into keeping this building safe. And the thing we want is that very first impression of guests to go like, oh, I can relax a little bit. I don't have to worry about it. So thank you. That's exactly what we're.
Oh, and I got to tell you, that's how I felt. And not only that, I did stop and actually make a purchase already.
You're wearing it.
And I'm wearing it because I needed a gopher mask, and I needed a mask with a little bit more breathing space. Found it right away at the Goldie's gate, whatever that's called, Goldie's place, right here on the main floor. And at every store that I saw, there was somebody outside basically monitoring traffic in and out. And I've even seen just in one circle, people, the employees stopping people when there was that capacity and just making sure that there's two people left. All right, two people can come in. So it is not like the Mall of America experience you had maybe 6 months ago, but it is very reminiscent of it and in a much safer way.
Yeah, so I've become a big fan of Mall of America over the last 5 years because I'm the vice chair of Simon Says Give, a nonprofit where we've been able to hold a handful of events here, including one where we broke a Guinness World Record just a couple of years ago. And we co-celebrated your 25th birthday with our 5th birthday. And since then, I've come to Mall of America quite a bit and become even bigger fan than I was before. And I think normally on a Wednesday afternoon, I would show up here and actually it would look about this busy ordinarily. But one difference was the parking situation. Like, I was pretty surprised to find a parking spot so easily. So I share Mike's sentiment here. Is that a product of maybe fewer employees? Is that a product of, despite the fact that we see all this foot traffic here all over the place, like, what are you seeing in differences in terms of how many people come every single day?
Yeah, well, we were anticipating the two of you coming, so we arranged for free parking for you. So that's part of our service these days. No, our traffic is down like it is everywhere, right? And we have fewer employees right now, like all companies do. And actually, we're limited by the state of Minnesota. We have to limit our occupancy to 50%. And so we've reduced some of our parking. You'll notice in our two ramps, the top two levels are closed. Half of our north lot is closed. So So we're doing things from a strategic perspective to make sure that we enhance and secure and make sure that we are a safe and healthy place to visit for Mall of America. And parking's one of them. So I'm glad you found a space right away. And I'm glad you recognized all the signage and everything when you walked in, because actually in this building, we have somewhere in the vicinity of 5,000 decals on the ground, hundreds of plastic walls that separate employees from guests. You wouldn't believe how many hand sanitizers and all of the logistics that went into reopening this place. But it's great because all those precautions are going to make sense and they keep everyone safe.
I'll even mention too, and we'll get into a little bit more specifics about Nickelodeon Universe as the reason this is our backdrop here. But I foolishly, I got here a little early, so I came and I found our meeting location. And I had a few minutes, so I thought I'm going to go on this mask hunt and see what I can find and just kind of look around. Well, I figured I'd walk halfway around and then just cut through the park. There's entrances and exits, and so I got my steps in. I had to go all the way back around because at that point I was 180 degrees off from where I was. But even that is impressive and is thoughtful. And the person was very kind. It was very customer service friendly. Just, sorry, sir, this is an exit. And okay, I get it.
Yeah, so I was gonna bring up the decals because I noticed them all over the place. And I'll say also the branding on them is beautiful. It's all like Mall of America branding, as I would come to expect over the years. But they're all over the place for people lining up, coming into stores. And I, apart from like a handful of like toddlers, I'm seeing like 100% compliance with the mask. Are you like, what's been your experience with that? Are you seeing that same thing from the patrons and the employees?
Yeah, our experience has been really good. It's not 100%, but it's way up there, right? So there's a handful of people that have medical exemptions. But for the most part, our guests are really compliant. They understand. They want to keep everyone safe and healthy. So it's been really encouraging to see everybody getting on board saying, hey, this is the world we're in right now. Let's all work on this together.
What are some of the differences, Dan? I mean, the obvious exception, we're all standing here wearing masks. But I mean, if we could transport back in time to March 1st versus today, kind of what are some of the differences you see? You mentioned occupancy, masks. Are there some other things that you've noticed as either challenges or just differences?
Yeah, well, absolutely. We actually closed on March 17th, and that was the first time the mall had closed for any extended period of time since we first opened in 1992. So like so many businesses around our country, it was pretty traumatic for us. And it's a different world now, right? So with all this health and safety precautions, probably the biggest one we have to deal with is our limits on occupancy. So like all businesses in Minnesota, we have a limit of 50% on occupancy within the mall, and it's based on square footage. So some stores, I love how you said we walked around, we saw retailers stopping people, and they do. Some of the very small stores may only be allowed to allow 2 or 3 people in at a time, and they take that really seriously, right? Now, for the attractions, and I'm sorry, this is a brand new mask and it's slipping down. I thought it was really cool looking. I should have worn my boring one. The occupancy limit right now for big gatherings in Nickelodeon is 250 people. Well, on a busy day in the summer, we might have had 6,000 people in there. Oh my gosh. So
total for the day or at
time. Yeah, that would be a very, very, very busy day, but we'd have thousands throughout the course of any day, right? So now we have 250 at a given time. And so we're selling tickets for 2-hour time limits. But think about it. Not all the attractions are open, but most of them are. So you get 2 hours and you walk in and essentially there's no wait for any ride within Nickelodeon. And we have safe distancing, right? So you skip a row of seats. We sanitize. I want to talk about our cleanliness or sanitation too. But we sanitize between every ride cycle, right? Every single ride we have. We worked with, don't worry about it. You're good. We worked with a local company, Graco. They typically make sprayers for spray paint and painting and stuff. They created a new prototype. We were the first ones to get them that sprayed cleaning detergents, right? Sanitizing detergents. So while they were still in the prototype stage, we got 40 of them from Graco. And we use those. They're cordless, they're handheld. So something we used to take a spray bottle and wipe everything down, right? Now we can go and spray in we can do an entire Pepsi orange streak in about 20 seconds where it would have taken us 5 minutes.
Wow. That's amazing.
So it's a great time saver, and it allows the guests then to get on the ride safely and go for that experience.
So I will just, because you're talking me into taking my kids here for an afternoon, because we were gosh, I can't remember where we were at some point. Oh, I know, we were in a pool which faces some restrictions, of course, and same deal. We had to sign up for a time slot and whatnot. It was so. This is a pool we've been to for years and years. It was so nice once you got in, because as you mentioned, there's really no waiting in the pool situation. There's no crowd. There's nobody nearby. You could actually swim and all that. So I know that's not ideal for business, but for now and for however long we have to deal with these restrictions, come on down, check it out, because you have 2 hours of free reign at a top, attraction, a top amusement park here in the state of Minnesota. And well, right now, the top attraction in the state of Minnesota. There's no Valley Fair. Yep. So you're talking me into taking my kids here for a couple hours.
And we just opened on Monday with Nickelodeon Universe. So it's only 4 days under our belt now. And even though it's only 250 people at a time, it's a fantastic experience. But what it does for the mall is that it brings a life and an energy back to this place, right? You hear the rides going, you hear the kids screaming and having fun. And just that energy from only 250 people helps bring everyone up and builds the spirits of everybody.
I'm glad you mentioned that. And that's what I was talking to a friend this morning about, the unintended or the factors of this pandemic that we don't talk about, and this sort of mental drag that we've all been feeling essentially constantly for now 5 months. I mean, that's taken a toll on people. And even a little thing like, just having the twins back and listening to the fake crowd noise, but nonetheless, it kind of just makes you feel normal for a little while. I appreciate what you said there.
Yeah, and I'm in the same boat. Like after this, I'm going to play Frisbee, and haven't gotten to do that. It was like a good 4 months before I got to do that, and we've now been following the guidelines with like a little bubble group of us playing with masks on. So I was going to ask kind of about the rides, because you can hear the kids screaming at things, and some of the things are going on, but some of them are not. Can you talk about what decisions were made about like what in Nickelodeon Universe is running now and isn't?
Sure. Happy to. Most of the rides and attractions in NICU are running, but there's a handful that are not operating, and for two reasons. Like behind us is Paw Patrol, and that's a giant play area. Well, that's all touch surfaces, right? Yeah. So it just doesn't make sense to open that. Cleaning it would be really bad. And can we really clean it thoroughly enough before the next group of kids are allowed in? So that's one area that's not open. And then a couple of rides that people love that are not open is the log chute and our ropes course. And primarily because they both take a large number of staff members to run that attraction, right? So if we have 8 or 10 or 12 people committed to one ride to run it, between the two rides, we might have 25 team members that are needed, and we have a total capacity of 250. It just makes no sense, right? So we focused on the rides that are really fun, and we have some great rides open. We have the Fairly Odd Coaster, which is really fun. Rock Bottom Plunge, SpongeBob Rock Bottom Plunge, Pepsi Orange Streak. So some of those thrill rides are open, and then some of the kids' rides are open as well. So it was kind of figuring out where that fine line is. That's a really safety enhanced precaution, but also does it make sense from a staffing perspective?
Yeah. Out of curiosity, is Flyover America? I didn't get a chance to look to see. Is that open?
Flyover opened on Monday with NICU, so it is open, and it's awesome. Right now they're showing their regular Flyover America film, as well as a new Hawaii film, which is spectacular.
I have to say, I did Flyover America one time just because I wanted to kill some time. It looked entertaining. I will admit I had a little bit of sticker shock when I did it for the first time. And when I was done, I was like, that is so much cooler than I would have expected.
Yeah, it is neat. They also, like any attraction in Minnesota, have a capacity, right? So they're limited to 25%, which means you have a really fun experience, right? Yeah. So you can go and do Flyover yourself, or you can come into Nick and buy an add-on ticket for a reduced price and also do Flyover. So it's a great service.
I think we're looking into this. If Amanda, if you're watching, we're coming Saturday. We're going to do the Flyover. We did this at Disney too. I think Disney is the same Flyover. It is amazing. And so cool. I'm so glad that you have the Flyover Hawaii, because the one that was here prior, Flyover Wuhan, I think that's probably less popular today. It's just a guess, but
it's not doing well.
Yeah, no, very much. Speaking of bats, but
It's like when they launched the Chevy Nova in Mexico, same deal, just really poor timing.
Well, this is great. It is. Yeah, just only having been here for whatever half an hour or so, this is one of those things. It's a Minnesota cultural icon. I mean, it's a monument to commerce, of course, but it's also a Minnesota cultural icon. And to be in here just makes me feel a little bit more alive, like things are okay, or they're going to be okay. And so, just so pleased with everything that you guys have done to make me feel that way. And I think others would even. I've been an opener from the beginning, so I'm an easy target. But I think there's others that would come in and like my wife and maybe feel very safe with all the precautions that we're taking.
Yeah, and and it's okay. We all have our own risk tolerance levels, right? And there's some people that on the day we open, they want it to be back here, and there's others that it's going to take a little longer, and that's okay. But the more people that do come and they see all the safety precautions and they tell their wives, they tell their friends, the word gets out that because we're all going to have places in society where we're going to go, I'm comfortable going there, right? I feel good there. And we're going to tell our network, and then they're going to feel good there, right? And that's kind of how this recovery is going to happen.
Actually, that reminded me of a question I had. So you guys are the mall, right? I mean, you're a big deal. And as policymakers have trying to figure this out, we set our targets at 50% and so on. At what point? But since then, we've made the mask mandate, right? So like, there's been changes that have been made. Is there a constant back and forth between the mall specifically and the retail community more generally to help us maybe even push the lever one way or the other? I mean, it's sort of like now that we've incorporated all of these safety measures, it feels like we ought to at least be contemplating even a further return to normal since we've done all this. Is that something that they've been receptive to?
We've had conversations from the day one, not only with our local and state officials, but with retail associations, with other malls in the area, right? So we've actually developed a partnership with other regional malls that really didn't exist before. And then we started having weekly calls and built this camaraderie and said, how do we get through this? Because it's not good if we don't all survive. We all need to survive, right? You're not our competitor, you're our partner in this effort. So there's been lots of discussions, and for the most part, people are willing to have those discussions, right? And people are cautious. But like, for instance, I'm wearing a health check. Every employee at Mall of America employee, not our store employees, but every Mall of America employee and Nick employee, the very first thing you have to do when you arrive in the morning, you can't go put your coat away or your briefcase or anything. You have to go to our security area. You go through a health check screening, you get your temperature taken, you answer a bunch of questions, and you get a color-coded band. You can't do anything until you're approved for that day. So there's lots of precautions, even behind the scenes, that you guys don't ever see that we're taking to keep people.
Yeah, I noticed that band on you, and I just assumed you'd already had a beer or two. That was your.
No, that was for this. I took that one off.
Yeah, they're strict on carding here, right?
Very much.
Even with the masks, right? So before I forget, well, you know what? You mentioned something that was interesting that I saw recently, that it looked like the Mall of America was reaching out to some of the stores that were in the Uptown area and in South Minneapolis that were struggling or have yet to reopen after all the rioting happened. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I didn't get a full details, but as I understand it, you might be bringing in some of those tenants.
Yeah, we haven't actually been really public about this yet because we're working on it, but it is in the process and it's happening. We are creating a space here for those businesses that were impacted by the unrest that took place, not only on Lake Street, but in North Minneapolis and elsewhere, St. Paul. And we're offering an area where they can set up shop into early next year, rent-free, as a way to establish themselves and keep some money coming in while they rebuild in their original location. So the idea isn't, we don't want to co-opt those businesses, right? They belong in the neighborhoods where they grew up and where they really built their livelihood and they have their following. But if we can help foster their return to normalcy, that's what we're trying to do. We're working with other nonprofits along the way to help bring in those businesses. Plus, we're doing some other really creative things because we have a couple of things we can offer, right? We don't have unlimited pocketbooks, but we have space and we have expertise. And we're trying to help the business community that way.
That's really
That's
impressive.
foot traffic, right? You've got this foot traffic that I know Uptown and North Minneapolis are struggling with right now too.
Well, you could help. Who knows? I mean, best case scenario, you could help attract a whole new audience that once they're back on their feet in their original location, people will be here going, hey, what happened to that store that I liked? And there'll be a sign that, go visit them in Uptown.
So I love that. And that's one of the things that I wanted to bring up, because there's two things that I've heard for 20 years about Mall of America that I've never been able to confirm. So the first one, kind of related to that, is, as I understand it, at some point Mall of America was the #1 tourist attraction in the United States. Where does that stand today? Maybe not today. Maybe backpedal 6 months.
Yeah. Where is it numbered today?
I said no tough questions. Pre-COVID, we would have 40 on annual. We'd have 40 million annual visitors, which still put us at the top tourist attraction in the U.S. every year. Right. So now that broke up Disney World into several segments: Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Animal Kingdom, Disney Studios. If you combined all of them, they're bigger, right? It's a monster. And I'm a huge Disney fan. I love them. But as a single entity, a single destination, we actually have more visitors than any other location. Yeah.
That's amazing. Right here in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Still, after all these years.
Well, and the reason I kind of brought it up is because I think some Minnesotans do kind of feel like the Mall of America is just like another mall. And I think over the last 5 years, I have learned that it's just categorically untrue. Not only because you've got an amusement park, as we see right here, you've got cool things like Flyover America. It's also this amazing tourist attraction. There are a ton of amazing, unique stores kind of throughout the mall. But one thing we briefly touched on is your partnerships with nonprofits. And now you're talking about doing a really cool thing to help out in the community at large in Minnesota. And, these are the types of things that I think Minnesotans really need to know about how cool it is here. It's not just a bigger mall. There are 100 things that you probably don't know that's going on here. And you mentioned that you might be doing some other things. Is there anything you want to share right now?
So a couple of points. Actually, I have a gazillion points, but we'll focus on a couple, right? So you talked about all the retail and stuff, that we're more than a mall. And people think of us as a big business. We're actually not a big business. We're a big building, but not a big business. And people also think that we're all national brands. We actually have 175 small businesses or entrepreneurs or franchisees in this building. So there's a lot of small mom and pop businesses here already.
Goldie's Locker Room. I got it right.
Goldie's Locker Room. You're exactly right. And they have more than one location here as well. So, and then we do lots of nonprofit. When we were shut down, we actually had a number of blood drives in our building because we could, and they couldn't find locations to hold blood drives. And they were running low on blood. So we worked with the Red Cross to do that, right? We worked with Hy-Vee to give away free food in our parking lots. We have a partnership coming up. I can't talk about it yet, but in the next about 2 weeks we will, where we're working with a local school to do something really cool here at Mall of America. But working with nonprofit partners is part of our DNA. It has been since day one. And like you talk about Simon Says Give, so thank you for volunteering and being a part of that great organization. And you said we celebrated your 5th and our 25th. Well, what we celebrated with that day was 2,500 birthday parties for kids around the nation that needed it, right? So they got birthdays in a box. And with Simon Says Give, over the years, I think it's somewhere over 20,000 backpacks we've supplied through us partnering together, right? And you're one nonprofit. We work with a bunch of nonprofits. So a lot of really good community service things happen here. Most of it goes unnoticed, and that's okay because it's good work.
Yeah.
So step it up, Miller Hill Mall in Duluth. And it's the gauntlets on the floor, right in front of you.
Come on, Harmar Mall.
Yeah, Pine Tree Plaza in Cloquet. We know we have viewers in Cloquet. Come on.
So the other fact check. Well, you know what? I want to just really briefly say what you just described for Simon Says Give is the sum total of 3 days of effort at Mall of America. So like tens of thousands of backpacks, 2,500 birthdays in a box. Each one of those birthdays celebrated 10 kids, and they went straight from the rotunda into the load dock all across the United States, all in a period of about 12 hours. So That was awesome.
That's really cool. We've interviewed Simon Says Give folks before on this show and on other shows, and it's an amazing opportunity.
So the other fact check thing that I wanted to, because what I've heard,
I'm no longer legitimate media.
Our press passes are littering all over the place here, so we got to clean up after this. But I've heard there's no actual artificial heating system in Mall of America. And I'm looking up at the windows because it's like solar power, solar heating.
So for those of us from Miller Hill Mall or the Cloquet Mall or Harmar, we know Minnesota gets cold, right?
Yep.
I've read something about that.
Yeah, we've been here, right? There is no central heating in Mall of America. There are small heaters at the entrances, but no central heating system. It's heated 3 ways. We have more than 8 acres of skylight, so passive solar heat. It actually gets really hot in NICU during the winter through the heat generated by store lights and fixtures, right? But the key ingredient, and this building was designed this way, is body heat. That's how we heat this building.
So this is basically the Matrix.
It is. Well, life is the Matrix, isn't it?
All right.
Yeah, we've talked about. We're pretty confident we're in the midst of a simulation right now.
Well, yeah, this is just a weird sidebar on the simulation. I see my phone battery's going dead. So.
And it's time to reboot the simulation.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, hardware reboot, upgrade. Let's get the heck out of here on that. So, as Lou is messing with my camera, which is alerting us that
we might be running a little bit low on time. So, the one other big thing, and we asked this of everybody, is like, what can the community at large do to help Mall of America? And maybe even as I'm saying that might sound dumb because, like you said, like I think.
Well, what about the retailers inside the Mall of America?
Exactly. So I'm thinking like, this isn't like, how does the little guy help this gigantic, huge business? Like you said, this is made up of a bunch of very small business owners who all employ a handful of people who are probably hit the worst. So is there anything that comes to mind about like how the community at large can help Mall of America, all of its tenants and everybody that's here?
Sure. So I think in general, the first thing that we can all do is be kind to each other. I think that civility is lacking a bit in today's world. And I would love to see if everyone just took a breath and went, do I really need to be upset about this? Right? I'm going to calm down for a minute. Okay, we're good. Right? So I think that would be a huge help. But we have lots of small businesses. Check our website. A lot of them are doing delivery at home. Baking Betty's delivered at home. She cooks cookies here, right? Small little shop. They were open while we were closed. So once a week, I ordered cookies for somebody, and she delivered them locally, right, for like $10. And they're amazing cookies, by the way, Baking Betty's. You'll love them. But take a look at the website. We also do curbside pickup. If you're not comfortable coming in the building yet, many of our tenants, that's on our website too, order your goods online, drive up to the curb, they'll bring them out to your car for you. So even if you're not comfortable coming inside, and if you are comfortable coming inside, be responsible, wear a face mask. If you're not feeling well, stay home and just be respectful and nice to people. And I think together we can get through this.
Absolutely. This has been awesome. This has been such a cool way to sort of feel like a little bit of normalcy again. It was amazing to meet you. Let's do this again when the masks are no longer required and the parks
the Ferris wheel.
And live from the Ferris wheel.
I can make that happen.
We got a guy.
Yeah,
I always say you got to have a Ferris wheel guy. We got a Ferris wheel guy.
We've been singing on the show for a year.
Literally.
Yeah, we need a Ferris wheel guy. So it only took us a year to find one.
Well, this was awesome, Dan. Thank you so much. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it very much. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Come on out to the mall. It's a great experience. You'll feel safe. Buy some stuff.
Yeah, that's a great message. So I'll just say thanks for tuning into this very special episode of Hotlou Happy Hour. Hopefully that came over on the mic like very dramatically. I don't know. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning into today's Hotlou Happy Hour. I'm your host, Hotlou.
I am masked up Mike Franklin.
And we'll talk to you tomorrow.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.